today we're going to look at the Heartrunes from the PvE Tank perspective. And there's 5 options of Heartrunes that I think are really, really good for PvE Tank content. And we'll start off with Stone Form. So the base kind of attribute of Stone Form, you turn into stone, you cleanse crowd control debuffs and grant immunity to stagger and crowd control debuffs for 5 seconds. That's the basic version of it. The Cunning version also adds 2 perks with Hardening Form, gain an additional 10% damage absorption for 5 seconds per hit taken, 30% max, and then gain Fortify on activation, increasing damage absorption by 10%. So by using this one, you're going to take less damage. And you're going to take a decent amount less damage. So if you're in a situation where you're taking a beating, you use it, you're going to take less damage. Now, I personally don't think this is really as good as the next one. So this is an option if you're with somebody like a really, really, really top-end healer who knows what to do, positions well, places that healing well, then obviously you could use this one. Now, for me, Heartrunes feel like an ultimate ability where, because it takes a while to charge it up and you can't be constantly using it. You have to kind of save it and build it up and use it in impactful moments. So I would prefer, personally, the Stalwart Heartrune of Stone Form. The reason for this is because Mending Form perk on this heals for 75% Heartrune damage per second while active, but outgoing damage is reduced by 20%. So you do reduce damage, but you heal for 75%. So this is like a really impact situation. So I kind of make sure I've got this on boss fights for those moments. So if I'm taking a lot of damage, or if my healer dies, I can cast this and I know I'm going to be able to go from near death back up to full health. You've also got the Fortifying Form perk on this one as well. So gain Fortify on activation, increasing damage absorption by 10%. So this one is super, super helpful in terms of if you're progressing content, you're doing content for the first time, you're new into content, maybe you've not got a very strong healer. This is really useful. And it can be really good in ads, like when you're doing ad pulls as well. You go into a big pack of ads and you swarmed, you use it, and boom. You've got like this immunity to staggers and crowd control. You've got the reduced damage from the Fortify, and you've got that big heal. So this is really, really nice if you want something that's not really group orientated, but it's going to help you survive in big damage situations, and it's going to be an emergency use thing. The next one I'll look at is a group orientated one. So this is really, really strong in terms of if you want to provide some benefit for your group, then you're going to use the Brutal Heartrune of Grasping Vines. Now this summons vines around you that deal 100% Heartrune damage and root enemies within a 4-meter radius for 3 seconds. So it's going to root everything in place for 3 seconds. By using the Brutal version of this Heartrune, you get some really, really strong benefits. Rending Vines. Inflict rend on successful hits. Reducing the target's damage absorption by 20% for 5 seconds, but also reducing your stamina regeneration by 50% for 5 seconds. Now, this is for the higher end player. So if you are somebody who has a lot of experience in the game as a tank, then this will be good. Having 50% reduction in stamina regeneration isn't that good for people that are newer to the game or less experienced, because you probably can't afford to have that for 5 seconds. But if you are more careful with your stamina, then this is a really, really great one to use. It's going to inflict that rend, so the enemies are going to be taking more damage. If everything's stacked up nicely, you've got a nice stack of enemies, you use it, and it's going to inflict a lot more damage. And then you've got the vines as well, which inflict weaken on successful hit, reducing the target's damage by 20%. So this is the best one. The other ones don't compete with this because you've got rend and weaken applied to all the enemies within range. It's just super, super strong in terms of the group benefits that it provides. It just wouldn't be useful to use this if you're inexperienced. Now, in a group, I would say that you want this on pretty much most of your group, because obviously it takes a bit of time to regenerate it. It lasts for 3 seconds. Obviously, the rend and the weaken last for a little bit longer. But you want to be going into an ad pull, somebody uses it. You go into the next ad pull, someone else uses it. You go into the next, somebody else uses it. So you want to try and have it where there's multiple people using this so that you can have it on every section of a fight. Potentially as well as a tank, if you have got time, you could switch this in and out depending on boss fights and ads. So you could use this on an ad pull, and when you get to a boss, switch to something like Stone Form if you wanted a little bit of additional safety. And then finally we've got the Dark Ascent. So this one, so you fly up in the air, you plummet back down to the ground, you stagger, and dealing 100% heart rune damage within a 3-meter radius. Press the heart rune ability or basic attack output while hovering to trigger the fall immediately. Again, this is a selfish option. So, in Powered Ascent, successful hits deal increased heart rune damage but no longer stagger. And then Leeching Ascent heals for 100% of the damage done. So, the reason why you might use this one is because you get Empowered, which is doing more damage, and then you're healing for the damage done, so you're getting a bigger heal. So, if you want something that gives you a huge burst heal, this would be one that you would use. But it's not giving you the same benefits as... so, it's giving a stagger to the enemies, but it's not giving you the immunity to being staggered yourself. So there are some things there you got to think about compared to like Stoneform. I personally would go with the Stoneform over this one, just because for the extra utility to myself, is going to be beneficial from Stoneform. You've also got Stalwart Heart Rune of Dark Ascent, and the perks on this one: Leeching Ascent heals for 100% of the damage done, but you also get Fortifying. So gain Fortifying successful hits. Increasing damage absorption by 10%, but reducing outgoing damage by 10%. So the heal from this is going to be less, but you're going to get a bit of Fortify in there if you need it. So if I was to kind of categorize them from a tank perspective, obviously this is the best one for group support and group utility. I would say that the Stalwart Heart Rune of Stoneform is the best one in terms of tank survivability and like if you're trying to play a more selfish version. And then obviously, if you wanted something a bit different, damage reduction with Cunning, and then you can give the Dark Ascent ones a go if you're looking for just entirely self-benefits that I don't think offer as much as Stoneform, but are another option. So that is it. PvE tanking, Heart Runes, those are my suggestions. So if you can, try and grind them out. Obviously, you have to go and do expeditions to get the base version of this, and then to get the increased version, you have to craft them. So you go to the stone cutting station with your heart rune, your standard heart rune. Make sure they're not locked, and then you'll be able to see it in the stone cutting station. And then you can see how to improve it. And you improve it to purple, and it'll just have one perk. And then when you want to improve it to the gold version, you have the option of 3 different versions. So then you want to select the version that is best. And those are my suggestions. So there we go.